Hello and thank you for joining our channel. Josh and Sabrina Take on the World. It's been quite a while since we've done our last video. I don't think we did one in December. I don't think we did a video in November, and we didn't do one in January. So we've been busy with some other things. One of them is an Australian Shepherd here that we've got, who can be a bit of a nuisance at times, but he can also be a lot of fun. We started looking at dogs back before COVID actually transpired, and we got him back in October, I guess, after reaching out to the breeder around the beginning of last year. We just had to wait for a litter. So he is a male. And he's coming up on, what is he now, four and a half months old, and he weighs about 20 pounds. So he's considered a blue merle with one blue eye and one brown eye, and a lot of fun, but
it doesn't sit still.
They're a lot of work as well. So the purpose of this video, we're going to be talking about one of the items that we've kind of been using a little bit over COVID here, just to kind of keep entertained and feel like we're kind of getting away from the house a little bit, even though we're not. And that particular device, you might have seen it. They were released back, the version 2, in October, the end of October last year. It's called an Oculus Quest 2. It's a virtual reality headset, which is made by Facebook owns Oculus, and this device retails here, this particular one, this is the 64 gigabyte version. It retails for what is it, $3.99 Canadian, and there's a more expensive 256 gigabyte version of it, which retails for, I think it's closer to $600. So it's a fully self-contained virtual reality unit, so you put it on your head. There's earphones that are built, or speakers are built into the side of it for spatial audio, so you can hear the audio coming from your right or your left, depending on what game or program that you happen to be using. And it has a battery and everything built right into it. The processor is built right into it. It doesn't require a computer, doesn't need a smartphone, anything like that. It's fully all self-contained. So if you wanted to get into virtual reality, you would just buy one of these headsets, and away you go. So it utilizes two handheld controllers for motion as well. So it's got some triggers on it for your various fingers, and some thumb stick controls and that on here. So as an example, if you're playing the ping pong game, you'll be obviously swinging one of them, but when you're wearing the headset, you wouldn't actually see this necessarily when you're in the game. You're going to see an actual ping pong paddle or that in your hand. So the kids so far have liked it. I've used it a little bit.
The kids have to be over 12, is it?
I think it's 12 or 13 for the Oculus. It is designed obviously for a larger size head. Now my 11-year-old daughter, she's used it. As with any of this stuff, it's kind of like moderation. Don't go crazy and spend hours on end in there, because that would probably cause you a little bit of eye irritation. Common side effects of wearing virtual reality headsets and being in that environment are nausea, headaches. People will complain about headaches, motion sickness. And if you suffer from things like motion sickness, you might want to just do little bits of time with of these. So we just had a little bit of a technical glitch there with the dog getting into wires and that, so we've put him away in the crate. Obviously, if you've got a dog and they're a puppy, you don't want to be you don't want to be doing VR when they're roaming around, because you obviously you can't see them. So anyways, the actual headset itself, it's fairly lightweight. I was mentioning about the nausea and things like that from motion sickness. If you suffer from any of that, a lot of people recommend that you kind of build up with VR slowly, a little bit over time. There's different games that are out there, and they actually will have a rating. So they'll talk about whether they're a comfort rating, meaning that they don't really provide much motion sickness or that, to I think some are rated as more extreme. And I've definitely tried a couple of those titles, and you do feel a little bit like, whoa, what's going on here? Especially when your legs and that, you're standing still and not moving. And the headset's making you feel like you're moving, but your legs aren't actually moving. So one of the videos that I watched here, because it has a YouTube player built right into it, so you can watch regular YouTube videos, or you can watch YouTube videos that have been recorded in 360, so you can literally look all around you and see what the specialized camera is captured from all angles. And I was on a roller coaster ride, and that made me feel really sick and nauseous, because the camera is going all over the place with you wearing it, but you're not actually moving. So something that you probably want to work up to a little bit with that. As I mentioned, this is the 64 gigabyte version of the headset. There is the other version that's the 256. The games that are on here, I think the largest game that we bought was a Walking Dead game where you're dealing with zombies and things like that in the storyline. That one made you, I think, feel a little bit queasy when you first started to try it.
I felt sick for like 4 hours. It was not fun.
Well, there you go.
Afterwards.
So I didn't feel sick at all with that particular one, and that was the very first game. I think
didn't see any zombies.
That was you were just playing the intro. That was the very first game that we bought with the headset, so I fared well with it, but I guess Sabrina didn't do so well with it. That game, I think, was around 9 gigabytes or 8 gigabytes in size. That was like the largest game, or one of the largest games that I saw that was out there for the particular device. A lot of the games that are out there are under a gigabyte in size. They're 500 or 600 megabytes. So you'd be surprised if you think, oh, am I cheaping out by getting the one for $299 versus spending $500 or $600 for the more expensive one plus tax on top of that. I would stick with the intro one. I think the technology, since this is already the second gen, the first one came out in 2017, so the second one came out in the end of October 2020. The technology is changing so quickly. I don't particularly even see this having a huge shelf life to it, that you're probably going to want to upgrade it anyways when the next biggest better one actually comes out. And I think that with all the technology that's jam-packed into these headsets, that Facebook is probably selling them at a little bit of a loss leader. They're not making a huge amount of money on it, because I think they really want to get the VR out into the hands of regular everyday people. Myself, I deal with technology all the time, every day. This was not a market that I was really even keeping an eye on, and I learned about it through Sabrina's sister, because their kids had gotten one over the holidays. I happened to see some pictures that they posted on Instagram, and I was like, I don't think they have a good enough computer to run VR headsets, because I actually helped them pick out their last computer.
It's kind of rude.
What's that? Well, it was a budget computer for doing more schoolwork and some Roblox gaming, or whatever it is. Anyways, it didn't need to be an overly powerful gaming rig, and then so I looked up to see what they were actually using, and I was like, wow, that's all fully self-contained for that price. So I thought we would give it a try. So we actually have two headsets here now, because a lot of the games that are out there, they're actually multiplayer games where two people, if you each had a headset, could play the game in two separate parts of the house, but you could meet up in VR. So there's actually a new software update that's rolling out to these headsets over the next few weeks. I think it just came out last week, but they don't deploy it to every headset right away. It slowly just trickles out and people just randomly start to get the update on their device. But it allows multiple users as well to be signed into a single headset. So you can have a catalog of games which the primary account has downloaded and purchased on here, but then you can have other people being able to sign into the headset playing the same games but having their own individual saved points, rather than, say, Sabrina playing something, then me going back and putting the headset on and starting where Sabrina finished the game. Now we can each have our own individual saves and things on there. So they are listening. There's lots of updates in that I'm sure will be coming out in the future for the particular headset. One of the negatives, if you view it as such, you do require a Facebook account to be able to set up the device. I know there's a lot of people that are quite disappointed that you actually need to have a Facebook account. I, for one, got off of Facebook back before the pandemic started just because I didn't particularly like it all that much. But when the pandemic started and I kind of lost track with a lot of friends in that, I got signed back up for it and got on it just as a way to kind of keep in touch with people. But if you are completely opposed to Facebook, you do require a Facebook account to get onto it. Couple other things just in terms of, I guess, the hardware. You'll notice that it's got these little cameras that are built in. There's actually 4 of them around the exterior of the headset. That's actually for motion tracking, so that when you're wearing the headset and you're looking around in the room, it utilizes these to help track your position within the room. It also actually utilizes these cameras, so there's some games and things that you don't actually use the controllers for. The cameras can just see whether your hand is open and the position of your fingers. So you can actually do hand tracking, and it's going to use these cameras for it. The cameras also act as a bit of a safety setup as well, so there's a feature that when you have the headset on, and obviously you're in your particular virtual world, and then you feel like someone's come up beside you, which Sabrina likes to do, where I'll have the headset on and she'll come up and sack me in the gut or something like that, and think that it's pretty funny when they've snuck up. So you can actually turn on the setting where you tap the side of the headset, and then all of a sudden you're seeing kind of a grainy grayscale picture, I guess it is, through the actual headset. So then you can kind of get the person back, because you can enable that feature, look like you can't see them, wait for them to kind of sneak up and get ready to give you a gut punch, and then you can get to them before they get to you. So pretty interesting device. It's been fun over COVID. A couple of the things that I've liked: the games themselves are reasonably cheap. Compared to maybe a Xbox title game or that you're paying probably around $80 I think now for Xbox games. The games on here obviously aren't quite as good. It looks a little bit outdated just in terms of the quality, but it's the immersion that makes the game what it actually is. Game prices range anywhere from $4 or $5 up to $30-$40.
There's no free games?
There are some free games, and the one good thing that Facebook allows you to do is I believe it's an hour. So you can try a lot of the games, it might even be any of the games, for up to 1 hour before you can cancel your purchase and get a credit back. So, that first Walking Dead game, nobody was overly thrilled or whatever about it, I think because nobody saw any real zombies right away at the beginning of the game. And everybody was impatient and wanted to kill zombies. But we had played it for over an hour, so we couldn't get a credit back on that. But if we hadn't played it for an hour, we could have applied to have gotten a credit back on it. But for $20 for a game, a weekend comes up, you want to play something with your kids, or you want to try something new, it's not too bad. There's a title out there that I'd like to try that's gotten a lot of good reviews on. It's a National Geographic title where you actually go to, I believe one is Antarctica and the other is Machu Picchu, two different locations that they filmed, and they've used special 360 cameras for it, and there's some interactive content in it as well. I think that retails for around $11.99 Canadian. Some of the people online complain that the video, the content only lasts for maybe around 3 hours, but $12 for an excursion to do something like that when you can't really do anything like that right now, obviously, anyways, because of COVID. Plus, if you're actually going to go to Antarctica, the cost of doing a trip like that is probably prohibitive for a lot of people, and it's probably, you know, you'd rather go to maybe someplace Mexico warm rather than Antarctica in the first place. So, you know, I kind of think when we've gone to Niagara Falls and you do the touristy trap thing and you do some of those 3D experiences or that where they blow the, what is it, the water and bubbles and
the upside down
and
house.
all that kind of, yeah, the upside down house that we went that was ridiculously priced.
And I was sick.
We were out of it, what, 15 minutes, and everyone was paying something like 20
$12.
Was it $12? I thought it was 20. But anyways, very quickly, if you put those sorts of things into perspective and you kind of treat this as like a recreational device that you're just going to, you know, try something new like that, then I think it helps to justify the price. For right now, for me, $12 to go do a 3-hour excursion to another place is well worth it. And I think that's the real interesting thing about the VR is that you actually feel like you're being transported to that other place. And there's a lot of free content that's on there on YouTube in the 360 degree videos that you can go and you can be on the Serengeti, and there's, you know, zebras in that walking by, and elephants, and you can do skydiving and feel like you're falling out of a plane. I watched a video that was sponsored by GoPro, and it was a surfing video, and it happened to be, you know, I was kind of hitting a wall with COVID, kind of feeling like trapped and caught up in the house. And, you know, when you're in a house with a bunch of other people, that gets frustrating too. And I just kind of went away, put the headset on, and watched some of these immersive videos. And I felt like I was literally being transported onto someone's surfboard, going out and, you know, having the wave crest over top of me and being able to look all around inside of the wave. It was a pretty neat experience. And those videos were free. There was no charge for that content. So that was definitely pretty neat for sure. So a couple of just tips on the headsets themselves, maintenance wise. You want to get things like this little insert here. This is just a protector for protecting the actual lenses that are in here. The number one kind of, I guess, issue with these guys here is that if there's bright sunlight coming in, these two lenses actually kind of act as magnifying lenses. I don't know if when you were a kid you ever took a pair of glasses or a magnifying lens outside and you used it to focus the sunlight on an ant and you smoked the ant. I did it a couple of times as a kid.
And there's also the insert if you wear glasses.
Right. Yep. There's an insert too for spacing here.
I'm blind, so I found when I was wearing it, I constantly had to squint in order to see what was happening.
Yeah, because you were playing it without your glasses, on. So, but you can play it. That's a good point. You can play it with your glasses. And this little insert is just going to give you a little bit more space in that in between there. You don't want the lenses of your glasses rubbing against the lenses of here, and that's why I was mentioning about the ants. They don't want you leaving the headset sitting up where the sun is going to be exposed on it, because you can actually concentrate the sunlight using the lens and it'll actually burn right through the LED displays that are tucked up behind the lens. So you want to be really cautious about that. These here, if you want to buy something that's pre-made, I think it was like $10 on Amazon, get that shipped out. The other good thing that I can recommend for them as well is you want to get kind of a good lens cleaning kit. You really don't want to be taking your shirt and wiping the inside of the lens. You want to get something where you've got a little blow ball here to blow any dust off, like a little makeup brush that comes in a kit like that. And then you want to use a good eyeglass wipe. This was another. This is a cam kit. CAMKIX camera cleaning kit, which I got from Amazon for about $20, and it's a good way to keep them clean. Battery life on the device, if you're wondering, if you're playing a game, averages I think 2 to 3 hours. It's not a huge amount of time, but it's probably kind of the maximum that you might even want to really spend in the VR anyways.
10 minutes is good for me.
Yeah, it depends. My daughter and I were playing a game yesterday, and she kind of felt that it was really kind of bothering her emotion-wise. It had a lot more movement to it, where it wasn't really bothering me. But she didn't stay in the game very long. She had to go out and take a break, and then she put it back on and she watched a little bit of YouTube or that with it. But again, not really meant for young children. So it's something that you're going to really want to monitor their usage with it. I'm just trying to think if there's anything else that maybe we haven't covered or that with it.
I don't know.
I guess the one thing is that my dad, around the same time I was feeling like I was hitting a wall, neither of us have really seen our parents. Well, physically, we haven't been in the same sort of space. We haven't been going over into their houses or having them here. So we've only seen them outside, like from the roadway or whatever, up the driveway a couple of times due to COVID. So my dad was saying that he was having some issues, or my mom was telling me about it, that he was just kind of feeling like he was a bit cooped up due to COVID. My parents are both almost 70. Will be my mom turns 70 later on this year, and my dad next year. But and they absolutely do not really like technology. They don't really want any more technology in their house. So. I told my mom about this headset, and she talked with my dad about it, thinking it might be something because he likes different documentaries. He was completely against it, not interested in it whatsoever, but I kind of wanted to see him be able to play some video games with my daughter through the headset in VR, so that they could actually come together in kind of that common meeting space. So I went out to Best Buy and picked one up and dropped one off over there at the house, and my dad absolutely loved it. Like, he had a blast with it. The first game that him and my daughter played was a fishing simulator, where you actually cast out and you have to use both of the controllers to reel the fish back in, and the two of them were literally standing like right on the edge of the water and fishing together and like looking at each other. And I could see my daughter, because I was sitting in the room with her, and my parents were at their own home. But my daughter's like holding up the fish going, Grandpa, look at my fish. Look at the fish that I caught here. Look at this. And obviously he's looking over in the VR and seeing the fish and that they caught. So that was quite a neat experience, and they've done that a number of times, and they've been able to spend time together in a way that they can't right now. And the one neat thing is that after my daughter played that game the first time with her grandfather, she came back and she said to me afterwards, she goes, Daddy, she says, that was like the first kind of normal time. It felt normal, just like before COVID. It felt like Grandpa was actually right there. So it's pretty neat to me, working with technology every day, to be able to see things, not just having I deal with things on a business side and how they impact, how technology impacts business, but it's neat just to see how the technology impacts families and brings people closer together. So the last thing that I'll mention, just in terms of that, is that I said already that there is a bunch of multiplayer games that are out there. There's lots of different multiplayer games that you can play together, but there's a couple of different ones. There's an application called Spatial IO, and it's basically like a meeting environment where you, from a computer, take a picture of your face and it generates an avatar for you, and then you can set up like a virtual home or virtual meeting space, and for free you can have other people actually come in and attend that virtual meeting space as well. So if you were looking for a way to be able to keep in touch with family and friends due to COVID, or you're doing business related things and you want a way to have your team join together, but you don't want them to have to use Zoom or WebEx, or you want to try something different, there's pretty neat apps that are out there that are taking advantage of the technology built into this headset to really bring people together. So that's pretty much it on the Oculus. I would highly recommend it. I know my dad really likes it. My mom likes it, just from the standpoint that my dad likes it. Sabrina's going to take a look at some of the fitness apps that are on there. I know your sister's doing some of the fitness apps, and she said that she gets quite a workout. I think she had mentioned about that.
I don't know if it'll top Apple Fitness. But.
Yeah, so that we're going to do another video a little bit later on Apple Fitness. That's one of the things that Sabrina's found that she's really enjoyed. with all the gyms and that closed since Apple Fitness came out back in is that October at the end of last year, maybe the start of this year. I can't even remember when it's come out. So Sabrina will be getting all that together, and she'll be doing another video on Apple Fitness, and maybe we'll have a couple other videos on some of the other things that we've been trying to do during COVID over the last 3 months that we haven't done any videos. So anyhow, anything else you can think of?
The only con with this is the screaming in the scary games. You guys just scream when you see zombies, and I'm upstairs trying to read a book.
The kids scream, not
you
me.
And the kids.
I don't think I'd scream.
Yeah, you have a couple times.
I think it's primarily the kids. There has been a couple of jump scares that have come out. Actually, the one day I was setting up the virtual fishing for my daughter to play with my dad, and I didn't realize that he had already come into the fishing lodge where the game kind of starts. So I'm standing there at the TV screen in the fishing lodge adjusting the controls, and all of a sudden through the spatial audio I hear my dad off to the right, and I thought he was just at the entrance. And I was like, oh, and I had the goggles on, I turned like this, and he had snuck right up beside me. So his avatar was literally right touching my shoulder, and I screamed because I did not expect that he was going to be right there like that. So yes, I am a VR screamer apparently. So all right, well, hope you've enjoyed the video. If you've got any specific questions about the Oculus Quest 2, certainly write them up in the comments and we'll do our best to answer them. Take care.